This chapter to Sanatana Goswami that by devotional service one can understand that Krishna first of all manifests himself as Swayam Rupa. Krishna is Adi Purusham, Ishvara Parama Krishna, Satchidananda Vigraha. Anadi Adi Govinda, Sarva Karana Karanam is Adi Purusham, is the cause of all causes. Right? So the Supreme Personality of Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead, Etacham Shakala Pumsham, Krishna tu Bhagwan Swayam. Krishna is Swayam Bhagwan. He is the Avatari, source of all incarnations. Right? Source of all incarnations. So original personality of Godhead. So he's he manifests himself as Swayam Rupa, right? The original form of Krishna as the cowherd boy in Vrindavan. Then it's further classified, his manifestation is classified as Swayam Rupa, Tadekatma Rupa, and Ashesha Rupa. In these three features, he manifests himself in his transcendental form. Right? The feature of Swayam Rupa is a form by which Krishna can be understood by one who may not understand his other features. In other words, the form by which Krishna is directly understood is called Swayam Rupa. Right? That Swayam Rupa form does not depend on any other forms. Right? It does not depend on any other forms. It is the original form of Lord Krishna as manifested as a cowherd boy in Vrindavan, Braj. Right? And then we see that same Swayam Rupa form is further classified into two, right? Swayam Rupa and Swayam Prakasha. Let's read that particular section. The personal form of Krishna can be divided into two, Swayam Rupa and Swayam Prakasha. As far as his Swayam Rupa or pastime form is concerned, it is in that form that he remains always in Vrindavan with the inhabitants of Vrindavan. Right. And then we have this Swayam Prakasha, his expansion, his own expansion, which is further divided into Prabhava Prakash and Vilasha Prakash. Right. Now, in the book also is mentioned that the Swayam Rupa can be further divided into Prabhava and Vaibhava forms. Right. Prabhava and Vaibhava forms. It's basically Swayam Prakasha, his own expansion, which is further classified as Prabhava Prakash and Vaibhava Prakash. So what is this Prabhava Prakash? In that Prabhava Prakash, he expands himself into many forms. The example is given in the book as in the Rasalila pastimes. Swayam Bhagavan Krishna expands himself in so many different Krishna forms that each and every gopi felt that they are dancing with Krishna and only they are dancing with Krishna, not the other gopis. So Krishna is present only in front of them. Each and every gopi felt like that. And Lord Krishna expanded into many other Krishna forms who were identical to the original Krishna forms. Right, that's Prabhava Prakash. It's identical to the original Krishna forms. Or the other example is given about Krishna when in Dwarka he expanded himself in 16,108 different forms. Right, that with each and every queen he expanded himself as a Krishna form. and each and every form were independent, where they were doing different activities at the same time. And Srila Prabhupada mentions in the book, it's not like the mystic yogi, like Saubhari Muni, the mystic yogi, could expand himself into 8 different forms maximum, right? The mystic yogi can expand as 8 different forms and could be at 8 different places at the same time, right? But Narad Muni uh, would not get astonished by this mystic yogi, but he got astonished by the Supreme Personality of God, and when he expanded himself, that, oh, how can the Lord can have 16,108 wives? Because Shastra says that he should satisfy them equally. So when he goes there to Dwarka, he sees that, oh, the Lord had expanded himself into, there are 16,108 palaces, and in each and every palace, he has expanded himself in a form which is present with a queen. So he was simultaneously present with 16,108 queens, right? That is Prabhava Prakash, form or category of the Supreme Lord. And then we have Vaibhav Prakash, right? Same form, but differently manifested according to different emotional features. They are the same as a Shoam Rupa form, but there is slight difference in um, uh, some, like, the example is given about Balram. It's a Vaibhav Prakash. So what is the difference between Lord Balram and Lord Krishna? Lord Krishna has 64 qualities, Lord Balram also has 64 qualities, right? One is the servitor, no, one is the object, no, it's like the Supreme Lord, and even the servitor Lord, right? Lord Balaram, he serves Lord Krishna in so many different ways, but also had the same number of qualities as Lord Krishna. The only difference between Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram is complexion. Lord Krishna appeared as Shyama and Lord Balaram appeared as whitish complexion. Right. That was the only difference. So that's the Vaibhav Prakash form of the Supreme Lord. Right. So the Swayam Prakash is classified as Prabhava Prakash and Vaibhav Prakash. Then we have the Tad Ekatma Rupa. It's mentioned the Tad Ekatma Rupa is that form which most resembles the Swayam Rupa, but there are some differences in the bodily features. Right? There's some differences in the bodily features. The Tad Ekatma Rupa is divided into two manifestations: the personal expansions, Swamsha, and the pastime expansions, Vilasa. So we see here the Vilasa, the Swamsha is, will come to that soon, down on the second slide, and the Vilasa expansions, right? The Vilasa expansions, the example is given is about the first uh, Chaturvyu expansion, right, of Vasudev, Shankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. There's a Vilasa expansion of the Supreme Lord, right? There are 400 forms of Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. And then we see the Swamsha expansions, or the personal expansion. One is the pastime expansion, another is a personal expansion, and they are categorized into six different categories of incarnations. Um, they are expansions of personal potency of the Lord, right? Swa Amsha, self. Swa means self. Expansions of the personal potencies of the Supreme Lord is the Swamsa expansions. Uh, they have uh, different moods and bodily features. So bodily features is little bit different than the Swam Rupa expansions. In Tadikatma Rupa, bodily features little bit different than the Swam Rupa. The six categories of incarnations comes under the Swamsha or the personal expansions of the Supreme Lord, um, which is a category of Tadikatma Rupa, right? Which are the six categories of incarnations? The Purusha avatars, which are the Kanudakshai Vishnu or Mahavishnu, lying in the causal ocean. When he exhales, all these universes comes into being, and he expands into each and every universe as a Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and from his uh, navel, right, the lotus flower, lotus stem sprouts, which passes to the 14 planetary systems. The Garbhodakshai Vishnu is lying on the Garbhodaka ocean, which is all the way at the bottom, Patal Loka. And from there, these 14 planetary systems, this lotus stem goes all the way to the top where there is a lotus flower, and that is Brahmaloka. Right? So that's Garbhodakshai Vishnu. See, this Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshai Vishnu. And then we have Shirodakshai Vishnu. Right? As Shirodakshai Vishnu, the is a Paramatma form in each and every living entity. Garbhodakshai Vishnu is a Paramatma form in each and every universe. Samasti Paramatma and Vyasti Paramatma. So Shirodakshai Vishnu is a Paramatma accompanying each and every individual soul. Right. Yeah. So then we have the Purusha avatars, then the Lila avatars, Guna avatars, the Yuga avatars, the Manvantara avatars, and Shakti Avesh avatar. The Shakti Avesh avatar falls under the category of the third category of incarnation of the Supreme Lord, Avesha Rupa. Right, Avesha Rupa. We have this Swam Rupa, Tadikatma Rupa, and Avesha Rupa. So that Avesha Rupa, under that the Shaktavesh avatar comes, right? Where a living entity could also be empowered, empowered, and he can act as a Supreme Lord for certain potency. He is empowered. Like Prithu Maharaj is empowered, right? For deity worship. He is empowered for deity worship. Shaktavesh avatar, right? Or there are different forms. Bhagavad Avesha was a direct, like Kapila Dev or Rishabh Dev. Vibhuti Avesha, which are indirect, which are like different opulences, right? And then in the other five categories, the Purusha avatars, and then the Lila avatars like the Matsya avatar, Kurma avatar, Ram avatar, Vaman avatar, Varaha avatar, right? The Nrsimha avatar is all in the Lila avatars. Then we have the Guna avatars, the three we have the three modes: mode of goodness, passion, ignorance, and for each mode there is a predominating deity who is the controller of that mode. Um, the Trinity, Brahma, Mahesh, Vishnu, right? And the Yoga avatars. For each and every age, the Lord incarnates as a Yoga avatar. And then the Manvantara avatar. Um, in each and every, right, Manvantar, there's a Manvantara avatar, right? It's mentioned the one day of Lord Brahma has 1,000 yuga cycles, right? 1,000 yuga cycles is one day of Lord Brahma. And in one Manvantar avatar, 71 yuga cycles comes, right? So then we have this Yagya, this entire description of Manvantar avatars is given in ninth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah. Okay. So that kind of summarizes the first two paragraphs. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that when Akrura was accompanying both Krishna and Balaram from Gokul to Mathura, like Akrura, when he came to take Krishna and Balaram from Vrindavan to Mathura, why? Under the invitation of Kansa. He came as a representative of Kansa to invite Krishna and Balaram for a wrestling match, which Kansa had kept. Right. So on the way, he entered into the waters of the Yamuna river. Right. He took some rest. Said, okay, let's rest at this particular point. And he entered into the waters of the Yamuna river. And in the river, he could see the reflection of Krishna and Balaram. And he can see all the planets of the spiritual sky in the waters. Right. He also saw there the Lord in his Vishnu form, as well as Narada and the four Kumaras who were worshipping him, as stated in the Bhagavad Puran. Anyache samskritatmano vidina abitena te yajanti tvam maya tvam vai bahumurti ekamurtikam. There are many worshippers who are purified by different processes of worship, such as the Vaishnavas or the Aryans, who also worship the Supreme Lord according to their convictions and spiritual understanding. Each process of worship involves understanding different forms of the Lord, as mentioned in the scriptures. But the ultimate idea is to worship the Supreme Lord Himself. In his Vaibhav Prakash picture, the Lord manifests himself as Balaram. The Balaram picture is as good as Krishna himself, the only difference being that the bodily hue of Krishna is dark and that of Balaram is fair. The Vaibhav Prakash form was also displayed when Krishna appeared, right? When Krishna appeared, the same Vaibhav Prakash was also displayed when Krishna appeared in the prison of Kansa in front of Vasudeva, his parents Vasudeva and Devaki. He appeared in the four-handed Narayan form, right? So that was also the Vaibhav Prakash form was also displayed when Krishna appeared before his mother Devaki in the four-handed form Narayan, just when he entered the world. At the request of his parents, however, he transformed himself into a two-handed form. Thus, he sometimes manifests four hands and sometimes two. The two-handed form is actually Vaibhav Prakash and the four-handed form is Prabhava Prakash. In his personal form, Krishna is just like a cowherd boy and he thinks of himself in that way. But when he is in the Vasudeva form, he thinks of himself as the son of a Kshatriya and acts as a princely administrator. See, there is different emotions which the Lord displays. In his 200 original form, his emotions are displayed as just the cowherd boy of Vrindavan, where he displays the mood of Sakhya, right? Means we have these 5 different kind of mellows: Santa, Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. So in that cowherd boy in Vrindavan, in Golaka, he displays these 3 mellows: Sakhya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya, which he does not display the same emotions when he appears in uh, in Vaikuntha and Narayan form. He does not display like Sakhya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. He displays mostly Sant and Dashya, right? Sant and Dashya. Yeah. In the 200 form as a cowherd son of Nanda Maharaj, Krishna fully exhibits his opulence, form, beauty, wealth, attractiveness, and pastimes. Indeed, in some of the Vaishnava literatures, it is found that sometimes in his form as Vasudeva, this is an interesting point. It is found that sometimes in his form as Vasudeva, he becomes attracted to the form of Govinda in Vrindavan. Thus, as Vasudeva, he sometimes desire to enjoy as a cowherd boy. Govinda does. Although the Govinda form and the Vasudeva form are one and the same, in this regard there is a passage in the 4th chapter of the Lalita Madhava in which Krishna addresses Uddhava as follows: My dear friend, the form of Govinda, the cowherd boy, attracts me. Indeed, I wish to be like the damsels of Raj, who are also attracted by this form of Govinda. Similarly, in the 8th chapter, Krishna says, Oh, how wonderful it is! Who is this person? After seeing him, I am so attracted that I am now desiring to embrace him, just like Radhika. Even the Vasudeva form becomes attracted, right? The Vasudeva form becomes attracted to the Govinda form. The same Vasudeva form is the form in which the Lord appears in front of Arjuna, right? He appears in front of Arjuna and he instructs Bhagavad Gita. He is not instructing Bhagavad Gita in the Vrindavan form, but in the Vasudeva form. It's Krishna himself, an expansion. Yeah. Okay. Are there any questions or discussions? This is a further classification given: Swam Rupa, Shri Krishna, Swam Prakasha, Vaibhav Prakash, Prabhav Prakash, like the last Leela, Vaibhav Prakash, yes, Lord Balram, right? And then the Tadikatma Rupa, which is Swamsha and Vilasa. The Vilasa is a 4 Chaturvi expansions, which is further we have Prabhav Vilash, the 4 Chaturvi expansion, and Vaibhav Vilash, right? The Vaibhav Vilas is further classified into the 2nd Chaturvi expansion, from which again 24 other different Vishnu forms comes. But the Swamsha form of Tadikatma Rupa is like what I explained as the 6 categories of avatars, and in that the Satyavesha avatar falls under the category of Ashesha, not Ashesha, Avesha form of the Supreme Lord. Avesha, which is Satyavesha avatar, right? And then which is further classified into avatar and vibhuti. right? Vibhuti are like Jivan as Lord Indra, Agni, Brihaspati, Meru, all Brigu, right? Yeah. Okay. Let's have some discussion on this. Yeah, a little bit technical, but yeah.
Hare Krishna Babu, Dandavat Pranam to everyone.
Dharma.
So Prabhu, this Saktavesh avatar
Yeah,
uh, means you are talking about that uh, Bhagavan empowered the Jiva, right? In
yeah.
Saktavesh avatar.
In Shakti Avatar, Bhagwan can empower a jiva, or he himself can also come with a limited uh, potency. He does not display his full potency, but came with a limited potency. Just like he comes as Lord Buddha, limited potency to drive away impersonalism. For that purpose, he comes.
Okay, so Saktavesh avatar, Brahman avatar also ki Saktavesh avatar?
Vaman Avatar, no, Vaman Avatar is Lila Avatar.
Brahman avatar is Lila avatar.
Yeah.
Okay. And Parashuram?
Parshuram is also considered as at times Saktavesh Avatar. He comes
Okay.
for some purpose,
Uh,
right?
okay, okay. Okay, okay.
To uh, so yeah,
Okay. Got it.
okay.
Dandavat Pranam.
Prabhu, you also had a question or something, or
Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisance, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhu, my question is, all this is quite technical.
Yeah, it is.
Now, there are people who either
Mhm.
have a very small attention span or, let's say because of aging, memory loss and things like that.
Mm.
So in such a situation, how important or how significant would knowing these technical details be to progress on the path of sadhana? Of course, you can't minimize knowledge,
Mm.
but then the detail of that knowledge.
Yeah, as we're discussing in the previous sessions, here we have Mahaprabhu when he visits South India. There's this Brahmana, right? He was a poor
Hmm.
Brahmana who was attracted to that form of the Lord, who was just becoming as Parthasarthi, right? Who's holding the reins of the chariot for his devotee, Arjuna, right?
Hmm.
And just by seeing that particular form of the Lord, tears were coming from his eyes, right? He was illiterate Brahmana, right? But Brahmins was completely moved in pure sentiments. And Mahaprabhu mentioned that he has understood the entire essence of Bhagavad Gita. So ultimately, devotional service is not limited to knowledge, it's beyond knowledge, right?
Hmm.
So if one even just has faith, like we see, we have this Navda Bhakti, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, right? Archanam, Mandalam, Dasyam, Shakyam, Atma Nivedanam, right? Even if one performs the meaning of the devotional service, one name of the devotional service perfectly, he can go back to Godhead, right? So, for performance of devotional service, it is not needed to go into the technical aspect, but just have faith. Bhaktiyamam abhijanati yavana sasmi tattvataha. Only a devotee can know me in truth, right? It's mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, Manushyanam Sahasreshu, Kashyate Siddhya. No, out of thousands of people, one person endeavor for perfection. Out of thousands of those who are endeavoring for perfection, hardly one person knows me in truth.
Mm.
Right? So a devotee who has full faith in the Supreme Lord can just take shelter of the Supreme Lord and just um, be focused on just chanting the holy name of the Lord. Right? Be focused on just chanting the holy name of the Lord. And in that chanting itself, everything is included. And I was mentioning the other day, in Upadeshamrita, it's mentioned. Tannama Rupa Charitadi Sukirtananu. In that holy name itself, the form of the Lord is there. Like we are discussing these different forms. Swam Rupa, Prabha, Vilas form, Tadikatma Rupa. Right? So we are discussing these categories here. It is technical. Yes, it is technical. Many times we ourselves will kind of miss out. Oh, what was that? Oh, the Prabha. Oh, so no, means we ourselves have to kind of refresh our memory to get these terminologies straightened out in our mind. Right.
Mm.
So for performance of devotional service, no, all this technical is not needed, but for pracharak, to preach the science of Krishna consciousness, right? Uh, Somebody might question, you know, no, means, uh, how come your faith, okay, no, means I'm atheistic, but no, means you are following theistic, you are believing in God. How come you are polytheist? There's many gods, right? How will you answer that?
Mm.
When you have many gods, no, ultimately we'll have to come to that understanding that there's only one God, right? Ishvara Paramakrishna Sachidananda Vigraha, Anadi Adi Govinda. There's only one God. But that's where this explanation comes that okay, God, just like Brahma Samhita mentions that from the original candle, the first candle is lit, right? Then from that candle, the other candle is lit. So similarly, we have this Prabha, Vaibhav Prakash form, which is Lord Balram himself. Then we have Narayan. Then we have the first Chaturvi expansion as this Vilashat Tadikatma Rupa form, right? Of Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Niruddha. So all these categories of incarnations comes into being. The same form, the Supreme Lord Krishna, who is the avatari, the source of all incarnations, right? And then there are all these incarnation. I was hearing Bhakti Rasamrita, right? Maharaj, where he was kind of mentioning about what is the difference between expansions and incarnations, right? What is the difference between expansions and incarnations? That expansion which appears, who descends as avatar, is an incarnation, right? Is an incarnation. So Krishna himself also appears, though he is the source of all incarnations. He appears, so that's where at that time he's also an avatar. He's considered as Krishna avatar, but otherwise he's avatari. He's a, no, so that knowledge is needed. That he's ultimately the source of all avatars.
Mm.
Otherwise, people will say, oh, okay, no, yeah, there is this Brahma, Shiva, Vishnu. So then that understanding needs to be there that, oh, okay, who is Lord Brahma? He is a Guna avatar. Brahma Brahmana Loke Punavartino Arjuna. He is also Jiva. a jiva can perfect his life for 100 lifetimes and can occupy the post of Lord Brahma, who is Lord Shiva, right? So, no,
Mm.
and then we have this so many different, even in Lord Shiva, there's different categories. We have a Sadashiva, we have Shiva, we have the 11 Rudras. Right? It's all technical. But no, but that understanding, when we read books, which Srila Prabhupada wanted us to read books, no, it's not only wanted that, okay, no, you chant the holy name. We said, fine, you chant the holy name, but also read books, memorize verses, become like lawyers, just like lawyers remember the different codes of the law book. Similarly, you should be able to quote different verses from the Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam for preaching to others. That's how others will kind of feel that you are speaking something authentic. You are not just speaking by your own mental speculation. Right? We are just nimitta mata. We are instrument in the hands of the Supreme Lord, or hands of our spiritual master first, and then the Supreme Lord. Yeah. Does that answer your question, Amita?
Yeah, Prabhu, thanks. So my follow-up is, Prabhu, you put into nice perspective about the knowledge necessity and as well as, the Mahamantra.
Yeah.
So how does one prevent taking the easy way out and says, oh, yeah, Mahamantra has everything. I'll only chant the Mahamantra and I won't put in the extra effort to either get into technical details or, increase my knowledge.
Mhm.
So how do we avoid that mentality?
Yeah, that's also good. No, so, uh, so as sadhakas, just like when you are in a school, you are told to take different courses, right?
Hmm.
That okay, you study math, you study science, you study geography, history. As sadhakas, similarly, we are in a Gaudiya school where we are told to chant the holy name. In our sadhana also, read Srila Prabhupada's books as sadhakas. Now, more we advance from that sadhaka role, we might get inclination of just becoming bhajanandi, that oh, yeah, I just want to chant the holy name of the Lord. Right. As sadhakas, as somebody had, a disciple had kind of mentioned to Srila Prabhupada that I just want to chant the holy name of the Lord. And Prabhupada said, oh, very nice. Prabhupada didn't say that, oh, you are taking an easy way out. He said, oh, very nice. He said, oh, just like Haridas Thakur was attracted only in the holy name of the Lord, and he was chanting 192 rounds, just chanting the holy name of the Lord. I also want to do that. Srila Prabhupada said, yeah, so just chant the holy name of the Lord. I will also ask some of the assistants to bring prasadam for you every day in your room. You don't even have to come out. Just chant the holy name of the Lord. Just like Haridas Thakur will chant in his cave. Right. And the person chanted one day, 2 day, third day, fourth day he was out in the field in Mayapur, tilling land. Right? If we are at that platform where we can just sustain by chanting the holy name of the Lord, fine. Otherwise, we need different nourishment in the form of reading books, in the form of other services, menial services also, like washing bathrooms, washing pots, cleaning bathrooms, washing pots, yeah. Um, making garlands or cooking for the Lord or deity worship. All those things are required as sadhaka. Then when we advance, we may come to that platform where we'll just have inclination on one thing. Fine. But as sadhaka, all these different subject matters are required. Right? Srila Prabhupada wanted us that, okay, become Brahmanas. By his qualification, before becoming Brahmana, we should have Bhakti Sastri. So Bhakti Sastri means technical, right?
Yeah.
Then become take Bhakti Vaibhav. Bhakti Vaibhav is further technical. You do a bachelor's, then you do master's. In Bhakti Vaibhav, you study more about Srimad Bhagavatam, more in depth, right? And then you come Bhakti Vedanta, right? I have the PhD level Chaitanya Chaitamita, right? So all those things has its place for us to advance so that we can preach Krishna consciousness. Because our entire mood, which Srila Prabhupada established, is Goshtanandi, preaching. More we'll preach Krishna consciousness, we will get now. Mahaprabhu says, Bharat Bhumite, Manusya, Janma Kari, Sarthak Para Upakar. Okay, you do your upkar, but then also think about Para Upakar. Right? पृथ्वी आचे आदि नगर आदि ग्राम सर्वत्र प्रचारे होइबे मोरो नाम. Give the holy name. So somebody may ask, oh, what is this holy name? So we need to understand what that holy name is. Right? What is the meaning of the holy name? Yeah?
Very good, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good.
Very good. Any other questions or reflections?
Krishna Prabhuji, I'm amazed how does the Krishna functions. For example, in Prabhav Prakasha, he became this many, 16,108. Krishna, how can he work with the mentally and intellectually?
Well, it's
He's
just
a God,
like,
he can do it, but I still amazed. How does that work?
yeah, just like, means we see that in an ocean, we won't be able to count the number of waves, right? There'll be unlimited waves. Similarly, the expansions of the Supreme Lord are unlimited. We just know that, oh, there is 10 main avatars, but there is unlimited expansions, right? In which the Lord appears. So he cannot be limited. Just like when he means frees the 16,000 queens, right? Basically, there's this demon who had captured all the 16,000 queens. So he frees them from the prison. Now, at that time, it was not, once a demon has kidnapped all the 16,000 queens, nobody else would marry them. So they surrendered to Krishna. That, now nobody else will marry us. You just accept us.
Yeah, that we can understand, but I'm talking about mental and intellectual level. How can we?
Yeah, but that mental
and level has to remain same, right?
Yeah, so that mental and intellectual level, like Krishna is Satchidananda, right? Full of eternality, full of bliss, full of knowledge. Just as we are infinitesimal, right? We are we also have a spark of the same Supreme Lord. So we have some glimpses of that knowledge. So what to speak about the Supreme Lord? Do you think that if he expands Om Purnamada Purnamada, it's like in Ishopanishad that verse is there, that though from that same Lord there is so many expansions coming, do you think that from the original something is taken away? No, it still remains with full opulences.
Mhm.
Similarly, the 16,108 different forms also has the same opulences as the original Supreme Lord, but different emotions.
So emotion works differently.
Well,
Every
so
Rani says something different, and he has to react differently.
yeah, so he with one queen he's having one kind of emotion. With other queen he's displaying another kind of emotion. Right. He's
But
not doing the same activity with all the 16,108 queens at one time. He's doing all different kinds of activities. These are different forms of the Supreme Lord. And from each queen, further, he has 10 offsprings, right? 10 children from each queen, right? So, no, that's further. Um, so, no, it's quite, uh, for us on the mental platform, we won't be able to understand that. Just like Narad Muni mentioning that, when
yeah,
uh,
he went every Rani's room, and Krishna was acting differently.
yeah, he was acting differently.
Mhm.
And that pastime about the cobbler and the Brahmana, where Narad is mentioning that, uh, what was the Lord doing? He was passing an elephant into the eye of a needle. And the cobbler said, oh, yeah, yeah. He said, oh, you cannot, don't you question? How can you pass an elephant from the eye of a needle?
Mhm.
And the cobbler says, oh, what is the difficulty? I am sitting underneath a banyan tree, and this banyan tree is such a huge tree, and each and every time I'm seeing a seed of a banyan tree, and in each and every seed of that banyan tree, there are so many thousands of that huge banyan tree in that particular seed,
Mhm.
right? So, what is the difficulty of the Lord passing an elephant from an eye of a needle? For the Lord, everything is possible, right?
Yep,
So,
it's amazing. You can't imagine.
yeah,
It's beyond our capacity.
yes, beyond our mental capability, where no means the pastimes of the Lord are so innumerable that Ananta Shesha, with his millions of hoods, could just glorify hardly certain percentage of his total pastimes. He cannot completely uh, sing, even with his millions of hoods, the glories of the Supreme Lord. So, what to speak of us who, have, just tiny bit, little bit we hear about the Supreme Lord. Yeah,
Thank you, Prabhuji.
thank you. Okay. Any other discussion? There's a nice picture where I see that how the Prabha Prakash and Vaibhav Prakash is now it's there in Golaka Vrindavan, and then the Tadikatma Rupa in the Vilash pastime expansion we have Vasudeva and Aniruddha. They are in Mathura. Um, it should be the other way around though. Vasudeva and Sankarshan in Mathura. Then we have Pradyumna and Aniruddha in Dwarka. Yeah. That's when Lord comes as Dwarkadish and has 16,108 queens. From his first queen Rukmini gives birth to Pradyumna. Right. So it's mentioned that the same Vasudeva is there as Dwarkadish, same Sankarshan is there as Lord Balaram, and Pradyumna and Aniruddha are there. The first Chaturvi expansion are directly there in Dwarka when the Lord appears in Dwarka. Yeah. And then the Vaibhav Vilas, which is in Vaikuntha, is Dvitiya Chaturvyuha, Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna and Aniruddha, which are even the Ram Darbar is of the second Dvitiya Chaturvyuha. Okay. Any other discussion?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Please accept my humble obeisances.
Please
All
accept
glories to
my-
Srila Prabhupada. I just had a reflection regarding Amitananda Prabhu's question. Something I feel very strongly about. We can't just go and chant the holy names by ourselves in the forest, because our spiritual masters have given so much to us in order for us to be able to experience the peace that's brought by chanting the holy names, that we owe it to our spiritual masters. It's a debt that we can't repay, to learn as much as we can about Krishna consciousness so that we can share it with others. It's uncomfortable for me to go out and preach and to give books and to do so many things, but I have this debt to my spiritual master that I can never repay, and they have the same debts to their spiritual master. And I know Amrita Nanda Prabhu, he's just asking that question because he's curious, but he does such wonderful preaching and teaching himself, and so he's doing his spiritual master wonderful justice. But we can't keep it to ourselves. We have to share it, and in order to share it, we have to know as much as we can, according to our ability. It's humbling for me. 25 years ago, when I was a student, I had a mind like a steel trap, and now it's like a bowl of jelly, and I can't absorb as much as I used to, as much as I try. And so I trust that Lord Krishna will give me what I need at the time in which I'm preaching or teaching. But that doesn't mean that I have to sit on my my laurels and not actually do the work in reading. And so I just think everyone has to read Prabhupada's books. He works so hard on these books. We have to read and understand them to the best of our ability, and then not just keep it to ourselves, share it with others. It's just something I feel really strongly about, and so I figured I would share that. Hare Krishna.
Right. Thank you very much. It's nice realization. Yes. We cannot keep it to ourselves. This storehouse of love which Mahaprabhu has opened up, we need to distribute it to each and every person. And as you mentioned so nicely about Srila Prabhupada, till his last breath, he was just translating the books. For what? For us to read and distribute it. Yeah, very nice. Thank you. Yeah. Yep. Any other realization, reflection? Anybody else wants to share?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji, very nice class with so many expansions, like the way you told it. I know it is tough to remember, but there was a question, right? If it's only about chanting, chanting contains in itself, like it's kind of complete. But sometime, like people may lose interest from chanting like non-stop. So for change, like reading and chanting, it can go side by side. I don't think only chanting without reading can survive, or only reading without chanting can survive. It all goes like the way we start our life. We go to school, and then we start gaining knowledge, and we implement that in our life to make the living. And same thing for the spirituality. We need to read these books, and we need to do the chanting. That is like my understanding so far after attending these classes. And yes, services, of course. That is, I can say, then your body can be in action, not just only sitting and chanting or reading. So all these things, this system, this process, I think it helps maintaining a person like health or heart and mind in perfect shape. If the person can perform these things in a process way, in a disciplinary manner, so then it is a, like I can say, perfect life.
Mm.
Otherwise, people may find themselves like lost in this world. If
Yeah, very good, Mataji. Thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Prabhuji.
So all these things, whatever spiritual master gives us, we just abide by the orders of our spiritual master. The spiritual master wants us to just chant the holy name of the Lord. We chant the holy name of the Lord, but otherwise, when he sees us, we are not at that particular situation. We will be able to completely focus on chanting. So chanting, reading, as you mentioned, doing services, everything is included. Everything is required. Uh, in our conditioned state, otherwise our mind would not function properly.
Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, tough part, in the beginning, when I heard okay, preaching and all that, oh, like even we can do preaching, and that was like, oh, no, 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 I can never be in that position. Like first reaction was like that. And another tough part, like outside in the world, who we can like pass on this information or who we cannot, because otherwise there is Maya right everywhere. So it is tough to distinguish, or it's tough to identify, are we speaking to the right person, right? The person may take it wrong way, or the person may not take it seriously, or the person may take it in a funny way. Like not every, we cannot tell this to everybody. That was also in some lessons. That
Yeah.
is tough, but like some people go to parties and they drink, or ladies night out, or this night out, or like so then like there is still like lot many things to learn, and how to pass on this information. Like even with the book distribution, when I start thinking, oh, these people, or like partying and all that, should we give books to such kind of people or not?
We should, it's mentioned, among 10 offenses, it's mentioned that, okay, those who are materially attached, we don't give this holy name. But at the same time, as devotees of the Supreme Lord, they don't mind committing that offenses to show their commandments, to distribute this compassion to the most uh, downtrodden people. Where they may be partying, they may be this. You'll be surprised how they'll be completely, by getting a book, their life will get transformed. So yes, we should at that time not make a discrimination, distribute books. Uh, Let the mercy of the Lord work through those books, and just we depend on on the Supreme Lord's mercy. When we go out, I remember going out door to door book distribution. doors where I will think that, oh, means, oh, I don't want to knock this door because no, means they have some other, they are following some other faith, so they won't respect. But I'll be surprised to see that even if I knock their door, they may take the books more readily than others. So, no, no discrimination. Means distribute books while we go for chanting the holy name. Chant the holy name. You know, means give that inhibition that, oh, others will look at me and they'll think of me as a joker or this, that. No, just distribute the holy name. Chant the holy name out in open. No, but we'll be surprised of how different way this mercy of the Supreme Lord works. I just
So,
stay right across the temple, and on my street, there was one neighbor who always will, no, when our devotees will park, he'll always call the cops, and cops will give tickets. Now, for last few years, I have been distributing prasadam, and that is doing some wonders where he's no longer calling the cops, he's appreciating of what we are doing. So the mercy of the Supreme Lord works in different ways.
sure, Prabhuji. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for sharing the example, your personal experience.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Prabhu, are we doing Bhakti Shastri course in our temple?
Yes, there's also Bhakti Shastri course going on from our temple. Also, there are students who are studying Bhakti Shastri. Krishna Prabhu, I believe with some connection with some devotees from Brooklyn, others, who's doing that.
Yeah, they're doing with the Mayapur Institute.
Mayapur Institute of Higher Education, yeah, MIHE. Even there is this Bhagavad Vidya Pit, was based right now, no, which is based in Govardhan, but in US it is based out of D-Land. So Pune Chandra Prabhu is also doing that. So yeah, there are different places which offers Bhakti Shastri. Years back, if you remember, we were also studying Bhakti Shastri or Bhagavad Gita. Yeah,
Thanks.
thank you. Okay, Shimesh Prabhu, it's all yours.
Yeah, thank you so much for the wonderful class. So, a few announcements. So, April 16th is Dhamma. So, we are having program at the temple starting at 6 p.m. I humbly request everybody please join. This is also another big festival for us, the appearance day of Supreme Lord Sri Lord Ram. We're going through in the beginning of in the February that the entire Ramayana series. So then now we are on Ram Navami. That date was on Ayodhya temple opening. So you all can understand the Supreme Lord's mercy that comes through, especially on the appearance day. We would humbly request everybody please engage and engage in the services. There are many services at the temple as well. So please contact one of us. This Friday is Ekadashi. And then Saturday morning, 8:31 to 10:49 is the Parana time. Today is also a very auspicious day of Srivas Thakur's appearance day. And so this is, as you all know, that Srivas Thakur is also incarnation of all part of the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Panchatattva. Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Surubhagam Bhaktavadaram Bhaktakyam Mamami Bhakta Shaktigam. So Bhaktarup, Bhaktakyam, Srivas Thakur. So it's a very, very auspicious day as well to meditate. And in the morning we had some discussions. Thank you all for joining. And
there is one quick thing, Shimesh Prabhu, I just wanted to add. Also, way back in January, when we had this temple opening in Ayodhya,
Ramayana, yeah,
we've done Ramayana and all. So, during that temple opening, VIHE, not VIHE, this Vishwa Hindu Parishad, VHP, had taken active part, and they are having this Rath Yatra in different parts of US, where they are distributing the articles which were used, some Mahaprasad as well as some articles which were, and the Kalash which was offered to Lord Ramachandra during the Abhishek. So the temples which kind of participated, like our temple also participated to some extent in the Ram Janmabhoomi thing. So any day, this next from yesterday to next 3 days, they are in US. So you might see them, and at very short notice, I'll post when they come to our temple.
Yeah, good to meet them. Yeah.
So whoever can come at that time, please come to the temple.
Very nice. Yeah, very good.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the announcement. And again, anybody else has anything to add or any other logistic questions? Okay, there is nothing else. Then let's conclude. Thank you so much. Let's chant together. Vancha kalpatarupasya Prabha Sindhu Bhevacha Padidana Pavinebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo Namo Vaishnavendra ki jai. Lord Srimad ki jai.
Jai Chaitanya Charitamrita the Gaudiya Vaishnava Guru Premanandi.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna.